Why, how many hours in a week do you work? I'm paid for 37.5 per week, but easily work 50 hours. Sometimes more. Corporate greed has made it so today's constantly merged companies eaten up by bigger and bigger ones aren't offering decent pay to employees, resulting in many people quitting and ghosting. There is also the fact that these companies do not wish to waste their profits by hiring either temp workers or relief staff, meaning when someone goes on vacation, someone else will inherit their workload for that period. Same for people on sick leave. It seems to be the norm now. 50-60 since I got into transportation in 2018. I don't even know what a 40-hour work week is like. Any day I actually do work just 8 hours, I don't even feel like I worked. I like a 50-hour work week, but often do 60-65. But that's just how transportation is. If you can't handle 50-60 hours weekly, trucking isn't for you. Can't complain though. I live on OT, and my finances are in a good places because of it. If I'm not working, I'm just at home playing video games anyway. I'd rather be making money. Moved into management about 2 years ago. I previously was working 36 hours a week and now was working 50-60. It was sucking the life out of me. So I realized that if I died tomorrow, people would still have problems and I would be replaced. Now I work 40 hours per week and leave. I'm still present and effective, but killing myself by being the extra was fruitless. Take your PTO, work from home one day if you can. Take advantage of your time. Haven't had a full-time job in 2 years. Posts were by far my favorite parts of my career. One as a sales manager in a territory I had previously been poorly managed, and one as the sole administrative employee for a startup in rapid growth. Exciting times. Clear value add, etc. But for most other jobs I've had, even 40-hour weeks were really like 15-hour weeks. On paper 40. But I always work over because we are always short-handed. My job is predicated on having 2 of us, each location of which we have 9. But I have worked alone probably 75 of the time in the last 3-4 years. I generally end up around 43-44 hours a week, and weekends I take call are usually around 50-52. But the OT is nice. I work in healthcare, direct patient care, not a nurse or doctor. I work 37.5 hours a week. I have an unpaid 30-minute lunch break. Otherwise it would be 40 hours. Our labor law also states that I can't work more than 13 hours days, and I must have 11 hours rest between work days. I also have to have a minimum 35 hours break over a 7-day period. I also can't work more than 10 hours of overtime a week, no more than 25 hours over 4 consecutive weeks, and no more than 200 hours over 52 weeks. Well, I generally come in at least 15 minutes late. I use the side door, that way lumber can't see me. Hey, Anne. After that I just sort of space out for about an hour. Yeah. I just stare at my desk, but it looks like I'm working. I do that for probably another hour after lunch too. I'd say in a given week I probably only do about 15 minutes of real, actual work. 36 on paper, but usually more. That being said, any overtime gets paid in some way, shape or form. I can take more time off over the minimum of 5 weeks a year, get it paid out, and whatever purchases I make in the store, I'm a backer, so bread, buns, cake or whatever will be taken out of my overtime, usually at a better rate than they would pay in cash and well above my hourly rate. When everything at work goes according to plan, it's a 50-hour week, and I make a great salary for the area. But we are always short-handed, and the staff is paid crap, so they are unskilled and unmotivated. So my 50 hours week usually turns into 70. I'm at work so damn much, it's almost impossible to apply somewhere else and do job interviews somewhere else. I'm effing trapped. 40, and this particular job there's always something to do. I have opportunity for overtime every day. I only work extra if I need to make up extra time. Don't want to use that PTO if I don't need to. Plus, I'd rather live simply and enjoy my life outside of work. I only bring that up because I can't believe how many people I work with have 3 jobs, some not out of necessity. I am on site 45 hours per week. I'm hourly, so I get 5 hours of OT every week. Actual work I do, maybe 10 hours a week. Maybe. I have a great crew for the most part, and we mostly just hang out and help each other make as much money as possible. We have the highest paid staff of any location nationwide within our company, and we have roughly 200 stores. Retail sales, baby. I do non-union construction in the US. 1 hour drive each way, work 7-5 MF, and do side work on my own some weekdays and some Saturdays. Weekdays I'll do 5-8 after work and Saturday usually 8-4. All the extra is optional and I do it for the money. I'm single with no kids, so I have the time. Doesn't mean it doesn't suck, or that I'm not tired pretty much all the time. LL. 35. I had the balls to negotiate a 7 hours workday. I don't understand why aren't all people pushing for this. I'd rather take a smaller payment and lesser hours than 8, 9, 10 hours with more money. I can even lose 30 for just 1 free hour. I make around €2,500 as a software dev, while the average income of my country is around €1,000 for a legal of 8 hours. I work 80 hours, a daytime and an overnight job. 40 hours at each job. Why? 2,500 a month isn't enough when your tuition is 2,000 and you still got a hella other bills. The only peace I have is knowing that this is temporary for the next 1.5 years. Did I mention I only have 3 hours between each shift, so my sleep is split into 2 sections? Yeah. For most of the past 20 years, no more than 10-15 per week was a freelance consultant. Retired for several, rocked my savings, and I've had to go back to work. Now I do even less work than before. No more than 10 hours per week. But I have to be here, not let teens turn yellow a full 40 hours per week, and it sucks. I work as a remote sound designer for an immersive audiobook company. It depends week to week as each book is different in regard to sound design difficulty and unforeseen hurdles, retakes, etc. My week is usually 30 hours. Sometimes more and sometimes less. I also take tons of breaks throughout the day to work out, walk around or chill out. I travel for work, but if there isn't a job in the field then I gotta sit on standby in our office. When I'm working in the field, usually 40-60 hours or more. Also in the field I actually work all those hours. When sitting at the office, I say I work 40, but usually only work about 5 hours. The rest is spent fucking around on my iPad. Between 9 and 11 24-hour shifts a month, depending on the month and how the shifts align. So I'm at work an average of 240 hours a month. So I'd say 60 hours a week, but only 7 hours of each shift is considered working hours by my employer. The rest is on-site standby. Some shifts we don't have any calls during that standby period. I'm retired now. For many years I worked 2 jobs. Main job I worked 40-43 per week. Second job usually about 35 hours. Jobs were completely different from each other, and I enjoyed both jobs. For straight years this only day I did not work was Christmas Day. But I enjoyed both jobs and really had no social life. At OL. 7 days a week. Mostly there from 8-9 a.m. to 6-7 p.m. Last week I worked over 70 hours to get a project done for a client that needed a rush order of custom metal doors. I'm pretty much moving all day and then also quoting projects designing. I'm going to transition to mainly art this year, hopefully. As a billable employee there is very little room to weasel out of anything less than a 40-hour week, since we have to prove we are a valuable resource. If we show up on a report as non-billable, we get the boot. I miss the days where I just worked for one company and could punch in and out. 37. But they make sure to schedule me 5 out of 7 days, and also never give me 2 days off besides each other. so I can never actually do much on my days off besides chores. Also, everyone in my department is part-time. Pretty sure that's just to avoid paying benefits most of the time. 60. 12-hour 5 days a week. It's a solid 10-hour job out of the 12. Some weeks they ask me if I can do extra day, 6 day, but instead of 12-hour shift. It's only 8-hour. I always say no. Worked for 1 year. Recently quit. I don't think I can do it anymore. It's a sad way to spend your life. 15 for my job, professor online, and 5 hours a week as an adjunct. I don't make as much as I could in other jobs. But it works for our lives since I spend a lot of time driving my teenagers around. At my desk for 35 hours per week. Working for 5-10 hours a week usually. I read a lot of Wall Street Journal articles. Edit. I worked close to 100 hours per week for about 8 months in 2022. New position at the same company now. I don't feel bad about my current situation. I have a part-time retail job, so it depends. I've worked as many as 35 hours a week, and as little as 8 in a week once. This week it's currently at 15 hours. I can't take it anymore. I'm waiting on a call for a full-time position at a different company so I can quit soon. Technically 40, but we're only allowed to work 38, so every full-time worker gets an extra day off each month. You have to take your 3 days off each trimester though, but the bosses will warn you if you still have a few when the end of the trimester is approaching.